First contact, the Zarnath Empire discovers Earth. The vast emptiness of space had long been the playground of the Zarnath Empire. For millennia, they had expanded their reach across the galaxy, encountering countless species and incorporating them into their grand design. Some joined willingly, others through coercion, but none had ever posed a true challenge to Zarnath's supremacy. That was about to change. Admiral Krelevor stood on the bridge of the Zarnath flagship, the Eternal Flame, his 4 eyes fixed on the holographic display before him. The ship's sensors had detected an anomaly in a previously unexplored sector of space, a small blue planet teeming with life and technology. Impossible, Krelvor muttered, his tentacles twitching with a mixture of excitement and disbelief. How could we have missed this? His second-in-command, Sub-Admiral Zix, approached cautiously. Sir, preliminary scans indicate a civilization of significant advancement. They appear to have rudimentary space travel capabilities and a global communication network. Krelvor's skin shifted from its usual deep purple to a vibrant blue, a sign of intense curiosity among the Zarnath. Prepare a first contact team. I want to know everything about these beings. As the Eternal Flame moved closer to the blue planet, the crew watched in fascination as the alien world came into focus. Sprawling cities, vast oceans, and a patchwork of green and brown landmasses painted a picture of a thriving ecosystem. Sir, Zix reported, we're detecting numerous artificial satellites orbiting the planet. Some appear to be observational in nature. Krelvor nodded. They'll have seen us by now. Let's make our presence known. With a series of precise maneuvers, the Eternal Flame positioned itself in a geosynchronous orbit above the planet's largest landmass. As they prepared to broadcast a first contact message, alarms suddenly blared across the bridge. Multiple incoming projectiles, Zix shouted, primitive nuclear weapons, impact in 30 seconds. Krelvor's skin rippled with amusement. Deploy shields, let them exhaust their arsenal. The nuclear warheads detonated harmlessly against the Zarnath shields, creating a dazzling light show visible from the planet's surface. As the explosions faded, Krelvor ordered a response. Send the first contact package, he commanded. Let's see how they react to a more civilized approach. Hours passed as the crew of the Eternal Flame waited for a response. The planet below was a flurry of activity, with military forces mobilizing and civilian populations in various states of panic or wonder. Finally, a transmission arrived. Admiral, Zix called out, we're receiving a response, audio and visual. Krelvor straightened his posture. On screen, the holographic display flickered to life, revealing a diverse group of beings. They stood on 2 legs, had 2 arms, and possessed a variety of skin tones and facial features. At the center stood a tall, dignified figure with graying hair. Greetings, visitors from beyond our world, the figure spoke, its voice translated by the ship's advanced linguistics systems. I am Secretary General Amina Okafor of the United Earth Coalition. On behalf of humanity, I welcome you to Earth. Krelvor's skin shifted to a deep green, the Zarnath equivalent of a smile. Greetings, Secretary General Okafor. I am Admiral Krelvor of the Zarnath Empire. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations with your species. Amina's expression remained cautious but open. We appreciate your peaceful intentions, Admiral. However, I must address the elephant in the room, our initial hostile response. You must understand, your sudden appearance caused great concern among our people. Krelvor waved a tentacle dismissively. A natural reaction to the unknown. We take no offense. In fact, we are impressed by your species' quick response and technological capabilities. The Secretary General's posture relaxed slightly. Thank you for your understanding. We are eager to learn more about your civilization and to share knowledge of our own. However, we must insist on proceeding with caution. The safety and sovereignty of Earth are our primary concerns. Of course, Krelvor replied, his skin now a swirl of blues and greens. We propose a series of diplomatic meetings to discuss cultural exchange, technological sharing, and potential alliance. Amina nodded. We accept your proposal. A delegation will be prepared to meet with your representatives at a neutral location of your choosing. As the transmission ended, Krelvor turned to Zix, his eyes gleaming with excitement. Prepare the diplomatic team. I have a feeling these humans will prove to be most interesting additions to the Empire. Zix hesitated. Sir, with all due respect, do you truly believe they will simply join the Empire? They seem prideful. Krelvor's skin darkened slightly. All species have their pride, Zix. But in time, they all come to understand the benefits of Xanath rule. These humans will be no different. As the Eternal Flame maintained its orbit, the crew began preparations for the upcoming diplomatic mission. Little did they know that this encounter would set in motion a chain of events that would shake the very foundations of the Xanath Empire. On Earth, leaders from every nation convened in emergency sessions. Military strategists pored over footage of the alien ship, scientists debated the implications of extraterrestrial life, and civilians alternated between fear and wonder. In a secure bunker deep beneath the United Earth Coalition headquarters, Secretary-General Okafor met with her top advisors. What do we know about these Xanath? She asked, her voice steady despite the weight of the situation. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the lead xenobiologist, stepped forward. Based on our limited observations, they appear to be a highly advanced species. Their technology is centuries, if not millennia, beyond our own. Physiologically, they seem adapted to environments similar to Earth, suggesting a comparable homeworld. General Mbeke, the grizzled head of Earth's combined military forces, interjected. Madam Secretary, we must consider the possibility that this is a prelude to invasion. Their ship alone could likely decimate our entire fleet. Amina raised a hand to quiet the murmurs that followed. I understand your concerns, General. However, if their intentions were purely hostile, they could have attacked without warning. We must approach this situation with both caution and an open mind. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the coalition's chief diplomat, nodded in agreement. The Admiral's willingness to overlook our initial attack and engage in diplomacy is a positive sign. However, his mention of an empire suggests a hierarchical, possibly expansionist society. We should be prepared for complex negotiations. As the meeting continued, strategies were debated, contingencies planned, and a diplomatic team assembled. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and every decision could have far-reaching consequences. Meanwhile, aboard the Eternal Flame, Admiral Krelvor reviewed the data collected on humanity. Their history was a tapestry of conflict and cooperation, technological leaps and devastating wars. It was a story not unlike that of many species Xanath had encountered, yet there was something different about these humans. Fascinating, Krelvor mused, his skin rippling with shades of blue. They've achieved so much in such a short time. Their adaptability is remarkable. Zix, ever the voice of caution, approached. Admiral, our cultural analysts have concerns. The human's history shows a strong resistance to outside control. They may not accept Xanath rule as easily as you believe. Krelvor's eyes narrowed. Then we shall have to be creative in our approach. Prepare a comprehensive report on human weaknesses and potential points of manipulation. We will bring them into the fold, one way or another. As both sides prepare for their historic meeting, the stage was set for a clash of civilizations that would redefine the balance of power in the galaxy. The humans, with their tenacity and ingenuity, were about to face their greatest challenge yet, and the Xanath, in their arrogance, were blind to the storm that was brewing. The first contact between humanity and the Xanath Empire marked the beginning of a new era. But whether it would be an era of cooperation or conflict remained to be seen. One thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again. Diplomatic negotiations. Humans joined the galactic stage. The neutral location chosen for the first official meeting between humanity and the Zarnaf Empire was Earth's moon. A hastily constructed dome facility, combining human and Zarnaf technology, stood as a testament to the potential for cooperation between the two species. Inside the facility's grand conference room, tension hung thick in the air. On one side of the table sat the human delegation, led by Secretary-General Amina Okafor. Flanking her were Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the coalition's chief diplomat, and General Mbik, representing Earth's military interests. On the other side, Admiral Krelvor's imposing figure was central, surrounded by a diverse array of Zarnaf officials. Amina stood, her voice steady as she addressed the gathering. On behalf of humanity, I welcome you to our solar system. We approach these negotiations with open minds and hope for a peaceful and mutually beneficial relationship. Krelvor's skin rippled with shades of blue and green as he responded. The Zarnaf Empire graciously accepts your welcome. We come offering the bounty of the galaxy, advanced technology, access to interstellar trade networks, and the protection of our mighty fleets. As the initial pleasantries concluded, the real negotiations began. The humans, eager for knowledge but wary of potential threats, pressed for information about the Empire's structure and the status of other species within it. Dr. Rodriguez leaned forward, her eyes sharp. Admiral, you speak of an empire. Could you elaborate on how other species are integrated into your society? Krelvor's skin briefly flashed a deep purple before settling into a calm blue. The Zarnaf Empire is a benevolent union of countless species. We offer guidance, protection, and advancement to all who join us. Many races have flourished under our rule. General Mbik, his voice gruff, interjected, and those who choose not to join. A tense silence followed before Krelvor responded, his tone measured. We respect the sovereignty of all species. However, those outside the Empire often find themselves isolated from the benefits of galactic society. As the discussions progressed, it became clear that the Zarnaf's offer of alliance came with strings attached. They proposed establishing a permanent presence on Earth, integrating human military forces into the Imperial fleet, and implementing Zarnaf educational programs to elevate human understanding of the galaxy. During a recess, Amina huddled with her advisors. They're not proposing an alliance, she whispered, her brow furrowed. This is a soft conquest. Dr. Rodriguez nodded grimly. Their benevolent union seems more like a gilded cage, but we can't afford to outright refuse. Their technological superiority is overwhelming. General Mbik's fists clenched. We need time. Time to learn, to adapt, to prepare. Amina's eyes glinted with determination. Then that's what we'll negotiate for. As the talks resumed, the human delegation employed every diplomatic trick in their arsenal. They expressed enthusiasm for cultural exchange, but cited the need for gradual integration to avoid societal shock. They agreed to limited technology transfers, but insisted on maintaining control over implementation. Most crucially, they proposed a decade-long acclimation period before any formal integration into the Empire. Krelvor and his advisors conferred in hushed tones, their skin colors shifting rapidly. Finally, the Admiral turned to the humans, his expression unreadable. Your caution is understandable. We accept your proposal for a phased integration. However, we will require certain guarantees. The negotiations stretched on for days. Every point was debated, every concession carefully weighed. In the end, a tentative agreement was reached. Earth would enter a protectorate status within the Empire. Limited Zarnaf presence would be allowed on the planet, and humans would gain access to some advanced technologies. In return, humanity promised to consider full integration after the acclimation period. As the final documents were signed, Amina felt a mix of relief and apprehension. They had bought time, but at what cost? Back on Earth, the announcement of the agreement was met with mixed reactions. Some celebrated the dawn of a new era of interstellar cooperation. Others protested, fearing the loss of human autonomy. governments worldwide began preparing for the changes to come. In secret facilities across the globe, Earth's best minds gathered to analyze the bits of Zarnaf technology they had gained access to. The learning curve was steep, but human ingenuity proved remarkable. Within months, breakthroughs were made in fields ranging from energy production to materials science. Admiral Krelvor, observing from the eternal flame, found himself both impressed and unsettled by humanity's progress. They adapt quickly, he mused to Sub-Admiral Zix. Perhaps too quickly. Zix's skin darkened with concern. Should we reconsider the agreement, sir? Limit their access further? Krelvor's eyes narrowed. No, let them advance. It will only make their eventual integration more valuable to the Empire, but increase our surveillance. I want to know everything these humans do. As the first year of the acclimation period drew to a close, tensions began to simmer beneath the surface of the seemingly peaceful cooperation. Humans, growing more confident with their newfound knowledge, started to chafe under Zarnaf oversight. The Zarnaf, in turn, grew increasingly frustrated with humanity's reluctance to fully embrace imperial ideology. In a classified meeting of Earth's top leaders, General Mbek presented a sobering report. The Zarnaf are positioning more ships in our system, far more than necessary for the protection they promised. Intelligence suggests they're growing impatient with our progress towards integration. Amina, her face lined with the stress of the past year, sighed heavily. We knew this day might come. Are we ready? Dr. Tanaka, the xenobiologist who had become Earth's foremost expert on Zarnaf technology, stepped forward. We've made significant progress, Madam Secretary. Our understanding of their tech has grown exponentially, but we're still outmatched in terms of raw power. Then we must be smarter, Amina declared, her voice filled with resolve. We didn't fight our way to the top of Earth's food chain by being the strongest. We did it by being the most adaptable, the most innovative. It's time we showed the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. As the meeting concluded, a plan began to take shape. Earth would continue its charade of gradual integration, all while secretly preparing for the possibility of conflict. Research into Zarnaf weaknesses was intensified, and a covert program to upgrade Earth's defenses was initiated. Meanwhile, aboard the Eternal Flame, Admiral Krelvor received a transmission from the Imperial capital. The Emperor himself appeared on the screen, his multifaceted eyes gleaming with impatience. Admiral, the Emperor's voice boomed, the humans' progress is too slow. The Empire grows restless. Accelerate their integration by any means necessary. Krelvor bowed low, his skin a mix of dutiful blue and apprehensive green. As you command, Your Majesty, I shall see it done. As the transmission ended, Krelvor turned to gaze at the blue planet below. His earlier fascination with humanity had turned to frustration and a growing sense of unease. These creatures were unlike any the Empire had encountered before. Their potential was immense, but so too was the threat they could pose if not properly controlled. Prepare for increased intervention, he ordered Zix. It's time to remind these humans of their place in the galaxy. Little did Krelvor know, his actions would set in motion a chain of events that would shake the Zarnaf Empire to its core. The humans, with their backs against the wall, were about to show the galaxy why underestimating them was a grave mistake. As both sides prepared for the inevitable confrontation, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. The next move in this cosmic chess game would determine the fate of not just humanity, but the entire galactic order. The uprising. Tensions lead to conflict. The facade of peaceful cooperation between humanity and the Zarnaf Empire crumbled faster than anyone anticipated. Just 18 months into the acclimation period, the simmering tensions boiled over into open conflict. It began with a seemingly minor incident. A Zarnaf educational facility in New Delhi, established to teach humans about galactic culture and technology, was shut down by local authorities citing violations of Earth's sovereignty. Admiral Krelvor, acting on the Emperor's orders to accelerate integration, saw this as the perfect opportunity to assert Zarnaf dominance. Within hours, Zarnaf ships descended on the Indian subcontinent. Their stated mission was to protect imperial assets and citizens, but it was clear to all that this was a show of force. Secretary-General Amina Okafor, upon hearing the news, knew the time for diplomacy had passed. In a secure bunker beneath Geneva, she addressed the United Earth Coalition's emergency session. "My fellow leaders," she began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation, "the moment we've been preparing for has arrived. The Zarnaf has shown their true colors. They do not seek alliance, they seek subjugation. It's time to unveil Operation Phoenix." Around the world, hidden facilities sprang into action. For months, Earth's brightest minds had been working in secret, reverse engineering Zarnaf technology and combining it with human ingenuity. Now, their creations would be put to the test. In orbit, the first sign that something was amiss came when several defunct human satellites suddenly sprang to life. Before the Zarnaf could react, these satellites emitted a powerful electromagnetic pulse, temporarily disabling the shields of the nearest Imperial ships. On the ground, humanity's new weapons were unveiled. Soldiers equipped with powered exoskeletons that could withstand Zarnaf energy weapons stormed the occupied educational facility. They were supported by swarms of AI-driven drones, too small and numerous for Zarnaf targeting systems to effectively track. Admiral Krelvor, watching from the eternal flame, felt his skin cycle through a range of colors as shock, anger, and a grudging admiration warred within him. How? He demanded of his advisors. How did they advance so quickly? Sub-Admiral Zix, his own skin a sickly yellow of fear, could only shake his head. We underestimated them, sir. Their rate of technological adaptation is unprecedented." Krelvor's eyes narrowed. "No matter. They may have surprised us, but they are still no match for the full might of the Empire." He turned to his communications officer. "Send word to the Imperial fleet. It's time to show these humans the consequences of defiance." As Zarnaf reinforcements poured into the Sol system, humanity braced for the fight of its existence. But they weren't without allies. To the Empire's shock, several integrated species, inspired by Earth's resistance, began their own uprisings. The galaxy erupted into chaos. On Earth, the war took on many fronts. In space, retrofitted human ships, though fewer in number, proved surprisingly effective against the Zarnaf fleet. They employed unconventional tactics, using the gravity wells of planets and asteroids to outmaneuver their larger, less agile opponents. On the ground, guerrilla warfare became the norm. Humans, with their diverse environments and adaptability, consistently frustrated Zarnaf attempts to establish control. Every occupied city became a battlefield, every forest and mountain range a haven for resistors. But the true game-changer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, working with a team of xenobiologists and computer scientists, made a breakthrough. They discovered a vulnerability in the Zarnaf bio-neural interface, the system that allowed them to control their advanced technology with thought alone. "It's not foolproof," Dr. Tanaka explained to a room full of military leaders, her eyes bright with excitement despite her exhaustion. "But we can disrupt their neural links, even if only temporarily. It could give us the edge we need." General Mbik, his face scarred from a recent battle, leaned forward. "How soon can we deploy this?" "We've developed a prototype," Tanaka replied. "But to be truly effective, we'd need to broadcast the disruption signal from multiple points in space simultaneously." Amina, who had been listening silently, stood up. "Then that's our mission. We need to get this technology to our allies across the galaxy. It's time to take the fight to the Empire." As news of the human resistance spread, more and more species began to question Zarnaf rule. The Empire, for the first time in millennia, found itself fighting wars on multiple fronts. Admiral Krelvor, once confident in the Empire's invincibility, now found himself in a precarious position. The Emperor demanded results, but every attempt to crush the human resistance only seemed to strengthen their resolve. In a desperate bid to turn the tide, Krelvor ordered an all-out assault on Earth. "We'll bomb them back to the Stone Age if we have to," he declared, his skin a deep, angry red. But as the Imperial Armada approached Earth, they were met with a surprise. A massive fleet of ships from various rebel species cloaked around the planet. Leading them was the newly christened UES Phoenix, Earth's first true interstellar warship. The battle that followed would be remembered for generations as one of the largest and most decisive space conflicts in galactic history. Human ingenuity, combined with the diverse abilities of their alien allies and the neural disruption technology, proved to be a devastating combination against the Zarnaf forces. As the Imperial flagship, Eternal Flame, burned in Earth's atmosphere, Admiral Krelvor realized the magnitude of his error. In trying to subjugate humanity, the Empire had instead created its own worst nightmare, a unifying force that threatened to topple their entire regime. Back on Earth, as reports of victory came in from around the planet and across space, celebrations erupted. But in the war room, Amina and her advisors knew that this was just the beginning. "We've won the battle," Amina said, her voice tired but determined. "But the war is far from over. The Empire still controls vast swaths of the galaxy. We have a long fight ahead of us." General Mbik nodded grimly. "But now we have hope, and allies." Dr. Rodriguez, who had been instrumental in forming alliances with other species, smiled. "We've shown the galaxy that resistance is possible, that tyranny can be overthrown." As the leaders of Earth's resistance looked out at the stars, they knew that the future was uncertain. But for the first time since the Zarnaf arrived, it was a future filled with possibility rather than dread. The uprising had begun, and humanity was leading the charge. The galaxy would never be the same again. Human ingenuity. Earth's forces turned the tide. The victory over Admiral Krelvor's fleet marked a turning point in the war against the Zarnaf Empire, but it was far from the end. As news of Earth's successful resistance spread across the galaxy, more and more subjugated species found the courage to rebel. The Empire, once seemingly invincible, now faced a multi-front war that stretched its vast resources to the breaking point. On Earth, the United Earth Coalition transformed into the Galactic Liberation Alliance, GLA, with Secretary General Amina Okafor at its helm. The GLA's primary base of operations was Nexus Station, a massive space habitat hastily constructed in Earth's orbit using a combination of human and alien technologies. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, now head of the GLA's science division, stood before a holographic display of the Milky Way, addressing the Alliance's leadership. "Our neural disruption technology has been a game-changer, but the Zarnaf are adapting. We need to stay ahead." General Mbik, his cybernetic eye glowing faintly, nodded in agreement. "We've liberated a dozen systems, but for every world we free, the Empire tightens its grip on 10 more. We need a new strategy." Amina, her hair now streaked with grey from the stress of leadership, leaned forward. "What do you propose, Doctor?" Dr. Tanaka's eyes gleamed with excitement. "We've been studying the quantum entanglement technology the Zarnaf use for faster-than-light communication. I believe we can not only replicate it but improve upon it." "How does that help us win a war?" Limbik asked, skepticism evident in his voice. "Imagine," Tanaka continued, "if we could instantly coordinate our forces across the entire galaxy, or better yet, use it to disrupt the Empire's own communications." The implications were staggering. With such technology, the Alliance could outmaneuver the Zarnaf at every turn. "How long?" Amina asked. 6 months for a prototype, maybe a year for full deployment. Amina nodded decisively. "Make it happen. In the meantime, we need to keep the pressure on the Empire." Over the next year, the war raged across the stars. Human special forces, augmented with advanced exosuits and working alongside alien allies, conducted daring raids deep into Imperial territory. These missions, while risky, provided crucial intelligence and freed countless beings from Xanath oppression. One such mission led to an unexpected breakthrough. A team led by Major Sarah Chen infiltrated a Xanath research facility on the jungle world of Verdant Prime. Their objective was to destroy a new weapon the Empire was developing. Instead, they discovered something far more valuable. Madam Secretary, Major Chen reported, her hologram flickering slightly due to the vast distance. We found plans for the Empire's central command structure. It's not what we thought. The intelligence revealed that the Xanath Empire, despite its appearance of unity, was held together by a complex web of AIs that managed everything from resource allocation to military strategy. At the heart of this network was the Emperor himself, more machine now than biological being, interfaced directly with the Imperial mainframe. This revelation changed everything. Dr. Tanaka and her team immediately began work on a virus that could infiltrate and disrupt the Imperial network. Meanwhile, the Alliance's military leaders formulated a daring plan to strike at the heart of the Empire. But the Xanath were not idle. They launched a massive counteroffensive, targeting key Alliance worlds. The battle for New Horizon, a human colony that had become a symbol of interspecies cooperation, was particularly brutal. Captain Zora M'Baku of the UES Defiant found her ship at the center of the maelstrom. Outnumbered and outgunned, she employed a tactic that would become legendary. Using the neural disruption technology in conjunction with the ship's own systems, she created a feedback loop that temporarily paralyzed the entire Xanath fleet. All ships, this is Captain M'Baku, she broadcast as her crew cheered. Fire everything you've got. The victory at New Horizon bought the Alliance the time it needed. 3 months later, Dr. Tanaka announced that both the improved quantum entanglement system and the virus were ready.